We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. This is a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the City Commission of Battle Creek to go over our CIP plan. We start the meeting today with public comment. Any public comment must be limited to 3 minutes. I would ask that you come to the microphone and give us your name and your address so that we can properly address you. And I'm not seeing anyone at this time for public comment regarding the CIP. So we'll move right along to discussion on the capital improvement program for fiscal years 2022 through 2023 to 2027 to 2028. We'll go ahead and get this workshop started. I believe, Ted, are you?
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate it. Actually, the finance team is going to handle the presentation today, so I'll turn it over to our Revenue Services Director, Linda Morrison.
Okay, and Commissioner Newman, did you have a question, sir?
I just had a question on this. Is it possible to change the order?
Of the meeting itself?
Yeah, so that the applicant that's here could go forward with this. I didn't know that's an option. So if we get a motion for that, or?
I think we should leave it up to Ted.
Yeah, so the way we've got this set up, the agenda today, we've got a workshop actually in advance of the Planning Commission meeting, so we have not actually called the Planning Commission meeting to order, I don't believe yet. If we wanted to do that, I think the way to go would maybe to flip both of them and hold the Planning Commission meeting first and then this presentation. Jill, I don't know if there's anything you need to add to that.
That would be the proper procedure. I guess I just don't know, are people going to, delay when they show up? Anticipating the order that's shown on the agenda and maybe not show up for those items that are for planning commission, because I think they'll take place later.
And can I just say, the presentation that I have for you is less than 10 minutes long. So
I think,
unless there's a lot of questions from
I appreciate
all
it.
of
And
you.
I appreciate your time too, sir, for coming right at 4 o'clock. I don't know where my colleagues are today. I think we're going to leave it in the order that it is right now, because we don't have that many commissioners here and because we have a very short presentation. So we'll just leave it as is. Thank you, though, for raising that up. So we'll hand it over now to Linda Morrison.
Thank you. And I am Linda Morrison. I'm the Revenue Services Director for the City of Battle Creek. And thank you, Planning Commissioners and City Commissioners, Mayor, Vice Mayor, for letting me come and talk to you about our 6-year capital improvement program for the period what we call fiscal year 23 through fiscal year 28. And this document would not be possible without the coordinating efforts of Barb Deering, our budget officer in the finance department, and Chad Frine in our information technology department. A big thank you also goes out to Travis Sullivan, who is in the planning department, who made sure that all of the programs that are included in the document today are fitting with the master plan. Capital Improvement Program is a multi-year plan identifying capital projects proposed to be funded during a planning period. Capital project is undertaken to acquire or build a non-recurring, long-lived asset that is expensive. This planning document represents a long-term blueprint for capital needs, prioritizing those needs with the ability to pay. The approval of this document does not equal project approval or inclusion in the fiscal year budget. Limited resources continue to challenge the city to make difficult funding decisions involving the allocation of those resources between operational and capital cost. The CIP process provides a structure for developing and prioritizing the capital needs of the city and enables policymakers to see the complete picture of the city's capital needs. It is in this spirit that this document has been developed. Whether an individual project is funded or not becomes a budgetary decision each year during the annual budget process. The CIP process provides an opportunity to study and evaluate the capital needs of the city, especially as they relate to the master plan of the city. The preparation of this document is in compliance with the Michigan Municipal Planning Commission Act, PA 33 of 2008 as amended, and is a tool and resource used throughout the fiscal year. Bond rating agencies put a high value on this planning process and the document itself, and regularly request a copy during their annual surveillance. This document formalizes and consolidates all the capital improvement projects throughout city departments and component units, and provides a comprehensive summary of the capital needs of the city for the next 6 years. Details of projects for inclusion in the CIP come from the departments and the component units for inclusion in the CIP. As the needs and the priorities of the community change, so too does the funding and prioritization of capital assets. The priority-based budgeting scoring mechanism is used to score and evaluate all projects that are included in this plan. There was considerable additional effort to put this all together this year, particularly due to staff turnover, but also due to the implementation of updated community results and definitions for the priority-based budgeting, which you can see on pages 11 through 18 in the book. For the last 6 years that we have used the priority-based budgeting model to prioritize projects that are included in the annual CIPs, only new projects were scored against the PBB results. With the adoption of new results by the City Commission last year, each project that's included in the CIP had to be scored by the submitting department, as well as by a 15-member cross-functional team of reviewers. A consensus score is what you see in this document for all 203 programs. Vice Mayor Ferris attended the final peer review committee meeting to see the consensus negotiation process at work, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you for the invite.
As an example of the priority-based budgeting scoring, you can see on page 25 of the document the airport development project with a community results score of 1, which indicates the highest available score. The range, which is shown on page 8 of the document, along with the score definitions, the range goes from 1 to 4. That airport development project score of 1 means very relevant to achieving community results. A rubric was used by departments in the peer review team, which measured scores by result and calculated a final value, which is shown on each of those programs that's included in the CIP. That airport development project also shows a department priority, which is 3 of 9. This means that the Battle Creek Tax Increment Financing Authority, which was the department that submitted this project, rates this particular project as 3rd out of 9 that it submitted. The summary document on pages 19 through 23 shows all 203 programs, and I think we had replacement pages for everybody for that particular section. And it shows a total for this 6-year period, and this is a big number even for me to say, $354,639,992 total over the 6-year period, of which a little over $207 million are reflected as funded and almost $158 million are not. Page 23 shows totals for each of the 6 years of the plan. Please know that projects shown as funded in this document are not automatically included in the department's budgets. There is a separate budget process that culminates in the annual budget that is adopted by the City Commission. This document is a guide and a summary of needs across the organization. It is not a budget document. A factor unique to this year's plan is the availability of American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, federal funds. This is noted as a new funding source on page 6 of the document. The City Commission passed a resolution in November that identified a number of city projects that will be funded with ARPA funds. Those that met the criteria for being included in the CIP are noted as such. A good example is the repair and resurface of the outdoor pool, which on your summary document, page 19, the department column shows recreation and a $200,000 cost shown as funded with ARPA funds. And you can see that page 19 also references additional details further back in the document. It references page 38, so you can see additional details. We're always open to suggestions how the Planning Commission would like to see this document put together, or how the City Commission would like to see this document put together. Any suggestions are welcome, and if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Linda. I'll go ahead and open the floor to any questions that commissioners might have. Why don't we start with the Planning Commission? If we could just go from my left to right here at the table, starting with Commissioner Newman, if you might have any questions. Okay. None? Okay. None from you, Joe? I also do not have any questions. Mayor Benke and Commissioner Morris? Wow. You put together a good document for us. Yes.
I'd just like to say, having been involved with this and been on the new team before, to congratulate the city staff for the amount of work, because I know a tremendous amount of work has gone into making this. So it's a great effort.
Very much appreciate that, Mr. Godfrey, because you're right, Carl's DPW team and teams all across the city and the component units, the TIFA, do a lot of work to make this come together. Thank you.
Thank you. I echo that sentiment. It is a lot of work, and it's put together in a very concise and straightforward way that's easy to read through and understand, which is important for not just us, but residents that might want to look at this information online. Any other questions or comments by any commissioners? Seeing none, I'm going to call this meeting over. We'll take a brief break, and we will switch over to the Planning Commission meeting. Thank you all for your attendance today.
Take your seats, we'll get ready to begin the Planning Commission meeting.
Where they're going to be. It's right.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Planning Commission on Wednesday, March 23rd for the city of Battle Creek. And since we have been together previously, I just ask that Ms. Hernandez note the attendance. Thank you. And I would call for the approval of the February 23rd minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Sport.
The minutes have been moved and presented. Are there any discussion? Commissioner Ferris?
Yes, I was absent from that meeting, so I just want the minutes changed to reflect that. And then also at the very top, like in the title, it says Zoom virtual meeting, which is another edit. We were in person, or you folks were in person last time.
Yes, I will make sure that that's updated. My apologies for that.
Otherwise,
Anything else?
they look good.
Okay, thank you. Seeing that, all in favor of approving the minutes, please just say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Ms. Hernandez, is there any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
The only addition that we received right now, do you want me to present this? This information to them or something? No addition or deletion to the agenda.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a request for a special use permit S-05-22. And I would ask Ms. Hernandez, I'm not saying it,
Hernandez.
to present that.
Thank you. So we received a petition from Thanos LLC requesting a special use permit for property located at 492 Southwest Capitol Avenue. The request is for a medical marijuana provisioning center. Property is Zone T3, Neighborhood Commercial District, pursuant to Section 1251.21 and 1281.05 of the zoning code. Parcel number is 7260-00-006-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just handed out the ownership letter that the applicant brought with them so that the application is complete. Also, the second piece was the denial letter from the city clerk for the provisioning center. That's the 90-day Part A application back in January. That was because they needed to get a special use permit, which we are here for tonight. The subject site for this petition is located on the northwest corner of Eldred Street and Capitol Avenue Southwest, and on the south side of Burnham Street West. This site is located at the edge of a residential neighborhood in a T3 neighborhood commercial zoning district adjacent to R1B traditional neighborhood residential. The city's adopted master plan also designates 492 Capitol Avenue Southwest, the subject site, as neighborhood commercial. The petitioner is asking for a marijuana provisioning center in 6,180 square feet of an existing 10,542 square foot currently vacant building. A provisioning center must meet the conditions for a special use as well as a marijuana use and provisioning center. The site plan for this request has already been approved last year, and required landscaping, parking was included and approved, along with resealing and restriping of the parking area and an 8-foot-high privacy fence adjacent to the residential along the west side. The parking exceeds the required parking for a 10,542 square foot building. They did have a 90-day permit, but it was rescinded because this needed the special use and they missed the deadline. A question for the petitioner would be, what is the intended use of the rest of the roughly 4,000 square feet of the building? Beyond that, staff finds the petitioner's request meets the conditions in the City of Battle Creek zoning ordinance for special use approval, as well as the conditions for marijuana and provisioning centers that are listed in the zoning ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends approval with the following conditions. If anything changes, the site plan or the use is expanded, any kind of marijuana uses are expanded into the rest of the vacant building, they will need to come back here and get an amended special use permit. That's one. Two, carbon filtration, which was offered by the applicant on their application. Three, plant a couple of additional trees next to the privacy fence adjacent to the residential property on the west. Four, let's see. The approval of this request is directly tied to the proposed use and elements and the site plan. Any changes to the contrary to that which is included on the application would require review and approval by the Planning Commission and City Commission again. That kind of goes along with number one, but it's broader. 5 through 6 are the general approvals that are usually, conditions that are usually included in the staff report, which regard any other necessary permits and approvals, including, in this case, the marijuana permits from the city clerk, and a reminder of no change in use or occupancy of the land and time limits with the valid C of O. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there someone here that would speak on this proposal? Yes, sir, if you'd come forward and state your name and your address and how you are aligned with this particular
Sure.
request.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Joey Kejbu, K-E-J-B-O-U. I'm the attorney for Thanos LLC. My address is 330 Executive Court, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, 48304. I'm here on behalf of Thanos LLC and 492 Capital LLC, which is the property owner. There is common ownership among the two entities. What we're looking to do with this property, as was stated during the summary, it's currently a 10,500 square foot building that's in a very dilapidated condition. I mean, it's been vacant for quite some time. There's really no marketability for it. There's been next to no interest in having it used for any other facility other than as a provisioning center. The question was presented during the presentation of what will happen with the other 4,000 square feet. The idea is we'd renovate the front portion, use it for a provisioning center, do a complete build-out renovation of both the interior and exterior, as well as the parking lot, and hopefully put that other 4,000 square feet in a position where it's a little more marketable, white box it and make it a little more appealing for another neighboring business. That could be a complementary retail type of facility. Ideally, we'd like to see another business that comes in there, brings more jobs to the city, brings more traffic, just brings an overall upgrade to the entire area. There are many other vacant buildings along this area of Capitol, and we're hoping we can, revitalize this particular property and kind of set the benchmark for encouraging other people to come in and invest some money and, help traffic, help the community overall. As a provisioning center, we'd also bring jobs to the area. We'd be upgrading the facility entirely. In terms of all of the different special use conditions, we've checked all the boxes. The first one is, sorry, I don't know if that's me doing something with that noise, but would it be harmonious with the neighboring area? Yes, it would be. It's in a commercial corridor. It'd upgrade the property itself, and it wouldn't impact the area in any kind of negative way. In terms of the design, construction, operations, and maintenance being harmonious with the area, it'd be in line with the zoning, it'd be in line with all of the building code compliance, interior and exterior, and again, would just overall upgrade the facility. The use would not be hazardous or disturbing to the area. In fact, what we found with provisioning centers throughout the state, Battle Creek is, was the leader and pioneer in introducing provisioning centers and marijuana retail to the facility, to the city. You see that the cameras are state-of-the-art, that the security is always on point, and that there's always added benefit in terms of light, security, monitoring, things like that to the local area and surrounding properties. Substantial improvement, goes without saying that that's going to happen to the property. It's currently uninhabitable. It can't even be occupied unless we have substantial improvement. With respect to public facilities and services, which is another criteria, there would be no overwhelming burden on the traffic, cops, or anything of that nature. So we check that box. We would not require any excessive additional requirements at public cost for public facilities. It would operate as just a customary retail facility that City of Battle Creek is used to at this point. It would not create any kind of nuisance in terms of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes. The HVAC system that was mentioned during the presentation would be incorporated so that there wouldn't be any issues or fumes that would protrude from the facility. And then the use will be consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning. Overall, this is a pretty big project that we'd like to tackle and be able to take on, and this is kind of our first step to getting to that point where we'd be able to devote the resources needed for it. I'd welcome any questions, and if there's anything I can answer, I'm happy to field them.
Thank you very much. If you'd just take a seat in that first bench, because we may call on you again. Is there any citizen who would like to speak to this proposal? Any citizen? Seeing none, then we'll ask the commissioners if they have questions. Seeing none, I have one. Based on the hours that the facility would be open as referred to in the document, which is from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, what is the lighting plan for the parking lot? Do we have that mapped out yet? And is consideration being given, since it's next to a residential neighborhood, to do some masking of any existing lighting or any new lighting so that it doesn't impinge upon the residents?
Generally, on these facilities, whenever we put lighting, particularly on the building, I forget the term in construction terms, but it's downward pointing, so it wouldn't impact any of the neighboring surrounding properties. Lighting in the parking lot, we could establish a timer or, whatever condition is imposed on us, we'd be more than happy to meet that so that it wouldn't become a nuisance on any of the neighboring residential properties in particular. Offhand, I don't know what the parking lot lighting is, but on the building, it's all going to be pointing downward, anchored to the wall, and it wouldn't impact any neighboring properties.
Well, it's a relatively large parking lot, and it's got a whole string of parking spaces on the west side.
Yes.
And I wondered if there would be down lights installed there coming down into the parking lot that would need to be masked for the residences that are on the other side.
If that were the case, that would not be an issue for us to comply, that would not be anything we would be opposed to. We'd be happy to comply with that. Right now, I don't know what the lighting plan is in particular on this, but if that's a condition that would be imposed, we'd be okay with that.
Thank you very much.
A photometric study, and it is also noted on the site plan here.
Okay.
They don't have a photometric study done, but the light post is shown on the site in addition to where the lights are on the exterior of the building.
Okay, thank you.
So, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions at all from the Planning Commission?
Commissioner,
I would,
you have something, Mr. Soborowski? Commissioner Godfrey, I do have
Yes,
a
please.
housekeeping for everyone. I was just provided the property owner consent form this morning or this afternoon, and I do note, it is simple housekeeping matter. The wrong box was checked. The applicant declares that Mr. Yatuma has signed it, that he is the record title owner when he is in fact a representative of the business entity. Would be my suggestion that the Planning Commission simply add an 8th condition to the conditions that a properly completed property owner consent form be submitted. And I'm sure council can take care of this rather quickly.
If I could have it emailed, I'll have it emailed first thing in the morning, if that's okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
A motion has been made and supported. Is there any discussion of the motion?
Do we need, in the motion, do we need to add the eighth condition?
The conditions?
That would be helpful.
Absolutely.
And I would like to add an additional condition, is that the lighting conform to the property and with regard to not infringing upon the neighbors' properties.
That's fine.
And would you would accept that, Mayor? And would you?
Yep.
If there are no others, then Ms. Hernandez, would you please call for the vote?
Absolutely. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sobrowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Godfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes?
Thank you. Commissioner Spranger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ferris?
Yes.
Commissioner Laws is not here, and Mayor Benke?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, and thank your client for investing in Battle Creek. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. One quick question. Can I email that to you, Mrs.?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a very good evening.
Thank you. Moving on, Ms. Hernandez, is there any old business to consider?
No old business to consider.
New business?
No new business.
Comments by the public?
No public.
None. Comments by the staff or the commission? We'll start with the staff. Any comments?
I don't have any comments, thank you.
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
No.
I'm sorry to disrupt the meeting here. I think that there was some anticipation on behalf of staff that the Planning Commission, I think traditionally, has recommended approval of the CIP to the City Commission. I don't see an action item on the agenda, but I see one on an older agenda. So I don't know if there's an incongruency there. I guess I maybe would ask Marcel if the practice, I think in the past, has been.
is to approve it.
That has been the practice in the past. I was just checking the bylaws to see if it was in the bylaws or if it's in our ordinance.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on the agenda as a discussion item,
A discussion item.
but I believe the practice has been that the Planning Commission is to make a recommendation to the City Commission.
Yeah, and I believe that language is in the language around the public hearings and deliberations.
So could we then have a motion to move the CIP forward to the City Commission?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
I have a question for Marcel. Do we usually hold a public hearing for that, or is it just a discussion amongst the Planning Commission?
Well, won't you hold a public hearing at the commission meeting, City Commission meeting?
Okay, I was just clarifying because under 6 it says public hearings / deliberation. So I just want to make sure that we're following procedure.
I don't see where it could hurt.
It doesn't. It doesn't hurt to have that hearing. It was properly noticed for a public hearing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to double check, because if it was noticed as a public hearing, I want to make sure that we are able to hold that space.
I'll retract my motion.
Make the call for a public hearing first and then move into a motion and discussion.
All right, I declare a public hearing open and ask if there is any public comment on the CIP program for 2023 to 2028. Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. And now I'll ask for a motion.
I will move to approve the capital improvement program to the city commission for approval.
I'll support that.
Motion has been moved and supported. Are there any comments? Seeing none, would you simply indicate by saying yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you. Marcel, do you have anything?
I do. With that break in time, I was actually able in the bylaws to find it where this is considered. So sometime if you want to look at Article 7, Commission Business, Section 1, Item H includes all capital improvement programs for the city. Is it properly a matter for the Planning Commission?
Thank you.
So there's your authority.
Any commissioners that have any comment? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.